Oh, okay. So as you can see by this is I think my permit. This is me, Corey Strother. And this is my Unit 4 discussion by Corey Strother. Representation. The minority group I will be representing is, drumroll please, the African Americans. Support. We support the American cause by our biggest contribution to the American cause is helping the Patriots fight during the war. There were plenty of African Americans that chose to take up arms with the rest of the Patriots. We do this despite the fact that most African Americans are slaves in this country. This means we have no rights as people, and we are viewed as property. We often are forced to live in horrible conditions and work for our whole lives with no pay or a compensation of any kind. Most times, we are lucky enough to live to see our masters die. When this happens, at least it creates an opportunity for some slaves to go free. Despite these facts, we still fight with the colonists, as Corbett writes in the OpenStax textbook, quote, while some slaves who fought for the patriot cause, end quote. We supported this new country with our lives, even if this country leaves no desirable place for us. Support continued. There were other ways we supported the American cause. The slaves that were not fighting in the war were back home still working. There were certain slaves that continued to work so that the states could make money. This money would be used to support the families of the colonists, or maybe even fund the war effort itself. Whether we were on the battlefield or working in the field, everything we did supported this cause in some capacity. Reward. The reward we hope to receive for our efforts is we hope to receive our freedom for our efforts in this conflict and our loyalty. There were many African Americans that sided with the British because of their promise of freedom. As Cabot writes in the OpenStax textbook, quote, 20,000 joined the British cause, end quote. There were also a staggering amount of African Americans that fought with Cornwallis and Yorktown. There were a lot of states that refused to make the same promises as the British. Nevertheless, we are choosing the potential of this country over certain freedom. We sided with our oppressors, so I believe that we should be compensated with freedom from our oppression, even if it may just be the freedom in certain places in the country. I know I would love to see some of the new territories be free for blacks. It is really up to the legislation in Congress. I cannot wish for too much, as I understand how much slavery and racial supremacy are entrenched in this country now. White men have become the national identity. Even though this country is filled with many diverse groups, they ignore the women, enslave the blacks, and hate the Native Americans. I do not want to be pessimistic, so maybe one day we will all be able to live with each other as equal Americans. However, one thing is certain, this issue will not end with this war.